Okay, so we're going to start with our blank piece of paper, which you've been given, and we're going to measure out 29 centimetres with our ruler. I'm just going to make tiny marks, and we're going to join those marks together using our ruler. You can't see it at the bottom of the page, but I'm lining it up with a point. And my pencil is a bit darker than yours, just for the video, so that we can see it. So I'm marking 29 centimetres down the page now, which unfortunately you can't see. And then I'm joining those points up. So you can see that we've made a square on our page, and we have a little bit of a section towards the side that we can use for our planning. What we're doing now is we're going to create 2 lines. You're going to draw yours nice and faintly on your page. Mine's going to be dark so that we can see the example. And we're just going to line the corners up with the back of your book or the front of your book so that it's long enough for us to do one straight line. So when we finish this, there should be a nice big X in the middle of our square. And our point in the middle, or where the X kind of crosses over, is the middle of our page. And that's going to help us plan the circle for our mandala. So now we're going to be using our compass, and we're going to use 4.5 inches instead of centimetres as our measurement, just to make things a little bit easier. What I've done here is I've marked it on my page so that I can line my pencil up properly on my compass. So I'm putting my pencil in my compass, making sure I don't twist this too tightly that it snaps my pencil or makes a really big indentation in the side of my pencil. But I'm lining it up with the point at the bottom. You can see I'm lining it up, and I've now realized that my pencil is not secure enough in there. So I've lined it back up with the point of my compass and the point of my pencil, tightened it up a little bit more, but not too much, so that, again, it's not breaking the pencil. I'm putting one point on, putting the pointed end of the compass onto our mark and making sure that the pencil lines up. Now, I'm not touching my pencil now because otherwise the measurement is going to change. You can hold it the way that I'm holding it now. I feel more comfortable holding it from the top. And I'm making sure that my paper is moving instead of me, because that's where mistakes happen. You can see here that it's a little bit difficult if we're trying to do it without moving the paper. Okay, so moving the paper makes it easier, and making sure that our circle stays intact. So that measurement is still the same all the way around. Now, if you do move yours, you will notice because your circle does not line up. So here we're going to be doing the difficult part. Now, this is where we have to create these little X marks in the center of our triangles. So it's not too clear now, but you can see that I've just made these little marks. I'm using the outside points of the circle. Okay, and I'm doing 2 lines from that one point. You can see now that they're crossing over and making X's on the page. And these X's are going to help us line up and make our 4 segments into 8. So you take the pencil out, and then we are going to rule these lines. Now, your lines are going to be lighter than the ones on the page. This is just a demonstration. So I'm lining up the crosses that have been made, so where they intercept, with the center of our circle. So we've got those nice straight lines through our circle. So now we have 8 segments and we need 16. So our pencil is back into our compass, making sure it's lined up. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but obviously just in these smaller triangle segments. Okay, so little x, and we're not moving the compass because the measurements need to all be the same size. That's the trick here. So not changing the measurement of our compass, because if we do, our x's are not going to be in the center of our segments. So I'm not changing the measurement. And if the measurement does change, that means you need to make sure that you measure it out again. So rubbing out crosses and then doing it again so that the measurements are exact. Okay, now we've got our little crosses. I'm going to do the same thing again, lining it up. The center of our cross to the center of our circle and drawing that nice light line. You may need to watch this a couple of times to get the hang of it. And you will probably make mistakes when we're starting to do it on a page. That's why it's important that we do it lightly so that we can rub it out. Of course, if you are having difficulties, you need to make sure that you are asking for assistance from your teacher. So now we're rubbing out these marks so that we can clearly see the segments that we've made. It's really important that we get this step right so that all our segments are relatively the same size. This segment will be the same size as the one on your planning sheet, which you will receive later. So this is going to help us cut out a lot of time to make sure that we're getting to the colouring in part quicker and the designing of our segment. So you can see now that we should have 16 segments. So it's a good idea to count them and make sure you've got 16. And that's our template for our mandala. This is our planning sheet, which you will be given. And there's obviously an incorrect way and a correct way of doing it, and your teachers will explain that to you. This is our template, which we've cut out. And we're going to trace that onto a spare bit of paper or using the segment that is blank on our mandala sheet. Now we're going to practice the tint side of our mandala. Okay, so this is going to be the lighter coloured pencils. And we're using our colour wheel. I'm going to use complementary colours. I'm going to use a coloured pencil to kind of create some value contrast or some tonal qualities to create a little bit more interest. So you can see here that the red I'm fading into the yellow to create more interest. This is just a practice. We aren't doing it straight onto our mandala. So if there's any colours that you don't like using after you've practiced this, then we can make changes. And it's also a good idea to label which colours you've used to make it easier for us to find the colour that you've used, to make sure you're using the right colour each lesson so that our mandala stays the same. Now here I am picking pencils which are darker quality, so I'm getting that tone. So a darker quality of the colour that I'm going to use on the tin. Now the reason why we're doing this is so that we can create that three-dimensional illusion for our mandala once it is done. So you can see here that the light purple that I've used, I am now using a darker purple on the other side. And now we are working on creating the same kind of tonal qualities as the other side. So you can see that I'm using that darker red, which wasn't dark enough, and I've switched to a different pencil, and then gradually blending into that darker yellow. I'm making notes here. You don't need to, but it's important sometimes to do that. That next time I'm going to use a darker red on my work for the real version. And again, writing down the colors that I've used so that I can make sure that I'm using the same colors each time. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using that template that I cut out. I'm going to transfer that design onto my mandala. Making sure that I do that outside as well. Interesting design that I've created. You can see that as I'm going over the pencil on the back is transferring onto the paper, and I'm making sure that I'm lining it up with my other design, making sure that it's right and exact. You're going to do that all the way around, flipping as you go. And now we're ready to kind of add the color and start working on that. I like to work one color at a time, so I will complete this yellow wherever it's required, and then move on to the other segment that requires that yellow. So I'm just working with the same color each time. That also helps us not to make too many mistakes, so we're not getting confused on where we're up to. Also helps us because there are 26 of us in the class to share the materials appropriately. If we're just using the one color, then we only need the one color, and someone else can use a different color. So here we've got some progress of how it's developing, and you can start to see that illusion of that three-dimensional quality as if it's being folded, and that's what we're after.